Amendment gives us the right to say what we want.
Shut
when
the
you think about
fuck
it.
up!
Welcome back, fans and friends, to the Complete Guide to Horror Movies podcast. Today we are reviewing I Know What You Did Last Summer, the 2025 requel, sequel, whatever you want to call it, reboot, remake, whatever, in which it follows a group of teenagers, a new group this time, who accidentally cause a car accident and are slowly being haunted by a, what would you call it, like a hook man or one of those people. Yeah, I'm terrible at this shit.
Hook hands. I don't know what we're doing.
No one ever does.
I have very mixed feelings when it comes to this installment. I mean, this is so late to the wave of everything to do with requels. Like, you know, we had Scream 2022, we've had a whole bunch of other slashers that have been rebooted or requelled to death, etc., that 2025 just kind of feels like we're now at the end phase. It's like how Marvel have all those different phases, like phase 4, phase 5, phase 6. This is like at the end of like phase 4 for me for slashers. So I don't know. Look, I'll say overall thoughts. I think it did a good job. I don't think it did a great job by any means. I'm just confused as to why this was made now and not 20 years ago or 25 years ago when this theoretically would have fit a lot better. And I'll talk about my favorite, least favorite parts afterwards. This does have some really high moments in the entire franchise for me, which I'm excited to talk about. Likewise, just like I think I have more dislikes for this movie than favorite parts, but even then, for me, the biggest thing is, and this was so distracting, the editing in this movie is terrible. There were so many scenes that seemed like it was being set up for like another kill, or it was being set up for another set piece, and then it would cut to an entirely different scene. And I'm gonna reference just an example of this, the steam room, where I can't remember what his name is, one of the fiancés or whatever. He's in the steam room and the thing says "you're next," and you think something's gonna happen, but then nothing happens, and you don't see that steam room again. It's like, what the fuck was the point of that? It felt like a Family Guy cutaway gag. Like,
pretty much.
yeah. Anyways, enough about my overall thoughts. Coop, what are your overall thoughts of this movie?
I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was necessary. I don't have a lot of love for this franchise anyway, so
Get out!
I kind of went into it being like, oh, you know, maybe this will be something. Maybe a couple of cool kills, but I didn't think any of the kills were really that imaginative. Maybe the what do you call it? Like the gun thing with the what would you call it? Harpoon gun. That was kind of cool. But beyond that, it was kind of devoid of anything that I really enjoyed. I thought the script was particularly bad. There was like one or two things that I enjoyed about it, but for the most part, it just kind of seemed really unnecessary and not really worth the payoff at all, or the 28-year wait. I reckon and I know I've said this before about other things, but they would have been better off just not making this movie. Didn't do really anything for me.
Absolutely. And one thing I will say is that I did kind of like the opening incident or accident with the car, just because I thought if they're going to do requel territory, it's going to be the exact same thing where, like in Scream, we saw that they copycatted the exact same scene from Scream 1 in Scream 5. This one, it's kind of the same, but I like that the car just drives off the cliff because someone happened to be in the middle of the road, as opposed to, you know, they ran over someone who was in the middle of the road. So I liked that twist on it, but I mean, that's very bare basic. BP, what are your overall thoughts on this movie?
I'm a little bit conflicted. I think we all share the same opinion that it did some things really well, and the things more mainly to do with like the original movies. I thought some things were done really well, but there were also a lot of bad things about it as well. Really off the bat, I think the new casting was pretty bad, pretty bland, pretty vanilla. We talk about horror movies where even, with Scream, you've got Nev Campbell, and as much as she's been in every single sequel, you still root for her to sort of survive. Whereas like in this, I just couldn't care if any of the new cast died. It was just one dimensional. There's nothing to them. I don't know what went wrong there. The cameos I really enjoyed. The bonus cameos were really good. There was one that I really enjoyed, which I'll talk about further. But yeah, and a questionable sort of plot, the way they sort of went about it 27 years later and sort of the ending. And I just sort of thought, kind of like erases opinions you have about people from the original to sort of now it's changed and it's like, oh, okay, now they're, such and such. So overall, it was very sort of patchy. But like it was still somewhat enjoyable, but I'm a bit like Coop. I don't know if it was really needed, but we'll talk about that further.
Yeah, yeah. And to talk more about the narrative, I feel that because of how late this movie was released, I mean, 3 years after Scream 5 or Scream 2022, they've kind of written themselves into a corner with this where, they could have done the same pattern beat by beat. Maybe Freddie Prinze Jr. gets killed at the start or towards the middle, kind of like Dewey died in Scream 5. But then that's ripping off Scream again. So they can't rip it off just like they did in 1997. And yes, we all know Kevin Williamson wrote the original script way before he wrote Scream, but anyway, it's a thing for me where I just wish they took a bit more risks in bringing back the original characters and actually doing them justice. Whereas, I mean, they wrote Julie James to be this, university professor that's all about trauma, trauma, trauma. Like, I was getting flashbacks to Jamie Lee Curtis. And then, for some reason, Ray is now this, like, fucking incel fucking loser who's like, fuck Julie James, fucking hate her. And I'm like, where did this come from? Because in the last time we saw these characters was in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And it was that, I guess it's now a fake out ending where they're a loving couple and then Julie James gets pulled under the bed by Ben Willis. And it's like, how the fuck did they go from that to hating each other? But they don't expand on it. And I'm like, I want to know more. If you're going to put that in the movie, fucking talk about it.
Yeah. Especially if you're bringing them back after, 27 years or whatever we're talking.
Yeah.
Bit of backstory.
Like, raise the stakes. Make, like, I don't know, maybe the group or whatever, it could have been their kids or something. Like, 28 years, they could have easily had 2 kids by then.
Yeah.
Like, have it more connected, but again, I'm not a scriptwriter by any means, so I don't know what the director was thinking.
Oh, you have got to be kidding, sir. First you think of an idea that has already been done, and then you give it a title that nobody could possibly like. Didn't you think this was bestseller list for 18 months? Every magazine cover had it. Popular movies of all time, sir. What were you thinking? I mean, thank you. I'll come again.
Not to be too negative, we will talk about favorite parts. BB, I think you and I have the same favorite part, which is the cameos. So I died when I saw the infamous cameo from Sarah Michelle Gellar. Because at first I was like, hold on, are they trying to say that she survived this whole time? And this whole news cycle where Sarah Michelle Gellar has been saying, no, Helen Shivers is dead. I'm Sarah Michelle dead Gellar. Like, every interview. And then I was like, no, they wouldn't make it so that Helen Shivers is the fucking Hookman or whatever. And then it's established that it's just a dream nightmare sequence. I fucking love that. That was a high point in this movie for me.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I know not everyone's going to like that because it's that whole, what's the word I'm looking for? It's, I guess, tired and rests on nostalgia for some people. But I thought it was effective. It actually tied in with the main character, whatever the annoying Gen Z. It's giving like TikTok skibbity toilet, Riz, whatever. Like, I'm sorry if I hear the dance. I love how this is supposed to be favorite parts, and I'm just listing what I fucking hate about this movie. Anyway, but yeah, love the cameos. Especially the fact that, talking about the original characters with Julie James and Ray, I like that they were brought back without any de-aging. Like, obviously there's going to be a lot of special effects makeup and stuff like that, but I really admire the fact that Ray's brought back with, like, silver hair, Julie James is back, and it's like what you would expect characters in their 40s to look like. And I mean, obviously there's a lot of other stuff outside with the Hollywood system, plastic surgery, all that stuff. But it's for me, it's not obvious here,
Mm.
you know. And I mean, we could talk about Jennifer Love Hewitt, but I mean, I just really loved the fact that they brought these characters back, looking natural,
Yep.
looking like they're supposed to. Um, Obviously they used de-aging effects for Sarah Michelle Gellar, but that's to serve the story of how she died at 17, blah blah blah. Before I go on too much, Coop, what was your favorite parts of this movie, if any?
Well, we've already touched on a big one, which was the Sarah Michelle Gellar cameo. I did really enjoy that, and yeah, it did look like at first when you saw her from a distance, they added some sort of de-aging stuff, but then with the close-ups, it kind of looked like they sort of abandoned that
Mm,
a bit. It wasn't too
Mm.
obvious, which was good.
Mm.
But yeah, nah, popped when she came up. Like I was like,
Mm.
yeah, that's so good. I love
Yeah.
that. Um, Beyond that, I don't know. I found the character of Danica to be kind of endearing. Like I'm a sucker for like a bit of a like nice but dumb sort of bimbo character, like a well-intentioned
yeah.
dumb person is one of my favorite like tropes in horror
Mm.
movies. It's just yeah, there's a lot of yeah, just a lot to love
Mm.
about that. Um, there was some funny moments when they were sort of making fun of just how dumb the cast was. One of them being one of Danica's lines of like when they're talking about the story with the live laugh slaughter thing, and like I got a note. It's like yeah, that's the point. That's what we're trying to say. And they're like, oh, we need to find out the local law. And then the ex-fiance is like, what's that? Like, fucking hell. So there was
Mm.
some funny moments, like a bit of the use of the comedy in this was quite well done, I thought. But
Yep.
beyond that, like I said, the harpoon gun thing was kind of an interesting
Yeah.
sort of death. Uh, Beyond that, there
Yep.
wasn't really a lot that I really liked about it. So my dislike section is going to be a lot longer.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah.
BP, likewise, what are your favorite parts of this movie?
Yeah, we touched on Sarah Michelle Gellar. I really like that. I got not emotional. I think I just got like a lot of butterflies. I think it was just such a really well done scene and it's like such a good dream-like sequence.
Mm,
Yeah, it was just so good. And I think it was that like great that they did that because it was sort of putting those rumors to bed. Because I know there's always been floating around like, did she really die? And then even sort of came out and said, like, I was literally in ice and dead. So yes, I am dead. But there's still obviously that sort of conspiracy that she survived it all. And I just thought the camera, like sort of the camera direction, the editing of that scene was so well done. It was one of my standout scenes within the whole movie. The other one that was closely followed was the same thing, the beauty pageant float scene,
mm,
where when I was in the cinema, it sounded so good with like the rubber boots. Everything was crafted so well. Like it felt like I was watching the first one again when he was walking up the float and she's underneath it. I really enjoyed that scene. I thought that was like one of the best sort of scenes as well. Obviously, the return of Jennifer Love Hewitt. Uh, I thought she was like pretty good. I know she was sort of saying I won't come back unless I have a decent sort of cameo or like a return in. And I think her sort of uh appearance wasn't like she didn't overstay it too much either. I think it was just enough. Ray, it was good to see him back. Not that I was really cared about him. And then I also really liked that Brandy was
yeah.
a bonus scene. Was not expecting that because when I looked like Jennifer Love Hewitt was like, oh, watch out for it. I didn't really know what to expect. And then I was watching, I'm like, hang on, who is that? I'm like, oh, it's Brandy, random. But that was kind of cool to tie that up as well. Um, and occasionally in bits with obviously the music score was quite good. It's that particularly with the first movie, like the 1996 or 1997 one, just the score sort of it did come back in and out occasionally, not all the time, which is frustrating. But when it was done well, particularly that beauty pageant scene, I really liked it. So they were sort of really my positives for it. Yeah.
Nice. And I absolutely agree about Brandy. I cheered because I thought, maybe they'll sneak Brandy in somehow. And the only throwaway reference we get is they're talking about, like, oh, well, do we escape and go to the Bahamas? And Ray says, absolutely do not do that. And
Mm.
I thought, okay, well, that's a reference to the sequel. So is that it? Are we going to get Brandy? And then it comes up with that mid-credits scene. I'm like, okay, that was funny, especially when she's like, everyone's trying to kill that bitch, like, or everyone's trying to kill that woman,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, that's Brandy. Like, I love her, and Brandy's also been in some other horror movies since, which are actually quite good, and so yeah, I love seeing her back.
I thought you were out of town. Look, I just wanted to borrow your black skirt, but I'm not ready to die for it. Have the knife now, please.
Least favorite parts. Look, for me, it's just too much Gen Z TikTok dialogue shit. I was cringing throughout every part where they're like, Slay Girly or Yes Queen or whatever. I'm just like, here we go again. Showing how old I am at 32 and I'm getting annoyed by teenagers talking in a horror movie.
Mm.
But even then, like I said before, the editing was sloppy. There were parts where it was really confusing pacing, trying to keep up with what was happening in some key scenes. Especially when it was the podcaster, what's her name, Tyler, and they're in the same shop that Helen Shivers and Elsa used to be in back in the original movie.
Mhm.
And probably said her name right. I don't think it's Elsa. And you know what's her name?
Miss Bond.
Yeah, yeah. Miss Bond, Miss Bond. She and then the main girl gets trapped in the cage or whatever, and then it shows the fisherman walking up the stairs. And I remember that scene because I'm like, wait, what's happening? Like, what's going on?
Mm.
Like, the editing didn't really do much. Um, Likewise, I fucking hated the reveals of the killers. I didn't like the killers. I thought the motivation was stupid. And I have to pose this question to you both.
Mm.
Isn't the character of Stevie one of the killers? Doesn't she mention at the start of the movie that she was in rehab?
Hmm.
So,
Something implied, yeah.
so theoretically, if she went to rehab, why is she working at a bar?
Mm.
Do you know what I
That's a good
mean?
point. I didn't even think about that.
Because it only hit me this morning. I'm like, hold on, did she say she was in rehab? So why would she be working at Ray's bar? And I mean, her addiction with rehab could have been something else, like, I don't know, marijuana or heroin or something like that. But to me, it was like, shouldn't you be avoiding all substances that could have been impacting you or whatever? And then the whole reveal that it was like, oh, it was actually my boyfriend who was killed that night. And I'm like, wouldn't you recognize him? Even bloodied up and everything? Like, I don't know. A lot of shit didn't make sense. Also, didn't make sense that Ray would be this type of person,
Yeah.
like, especially from the first two movies. And then this one is like, no, all the trauma turned me into this killer. Ha ha ha. I'm like, yeah, sure, sure. So fucking stupid. And I mean, they could have added in more backstory to justify this change. So even
Yep.
if it was just more scenes between him and Jennifer Love Hewitt talking about why they split or what she saw in him that made her nervous, etc., that would have helped. And it could have also added to maybe a reveal that Ray wasn't the killer and he was just a red herring. But yeah, just disappointed with that.
Yep.
There's a bunch of others that I dislike about this movie. I don't want to take up the whole conversation. So,
Right.
Coop, what are your least favorite parts?
I've already touched on the casting for the most part with the new group. They kind of, yeah, they didn't really do much to sort of make you like them or be interested in them as characters. I didn't even think about the fact that they mentioned that Stevie was in rehab and she's working in a bar. That didn't even click for me at all. The dialogue was pretty bad. There was a lot of really bad exposition in this movie, but not where it was needed. Like it wasn't, as we've mentioned, there wasn't really a lot of backstory of the last 28 years with Ray and Julie's character, but they did that with the main cast, and it was just really forced. A lot of the dialogue between them was really forced, and especially as what you were saying, like all the, you know, Gen Z slay fucking whatever. A lot of that again felt really forced, and I'm like, as annoying as some of that kind of like, and again, we're old. That's all it is. As annoying as a lot of that kind of talk can be, if it's genuine, fair enough. But if it's as forced to try and be current as it is, it's even more cringe. Like,
Yeah.
and it was so abundantly clear that's what was happening. The reveal, I mean, get stuffed. Like, I didn't mind Stevie so much, with it tying in with that being her boyfriend, and obviously a lot of rehab and 12-step programs go sort of hand in hand with church, because it's honestly quite predatory, but that's a whole other issue.
Mm.
With that, yeah, okay, fair enough. But then sort of the payoff didn't really pack a punch. And then when Ray just shot her, I was like, oh, that was kind of like anticlimactic. And then I felt like they had Ray be the killer just as a swerve, just like, oh,
Mm.
no way. Like, it's like having Gale Weathers be the killer. It's fucking stupid. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
exists purely for the swerve and you not expecting that to be the outcome. And I really
Yeah.
didn't like that. I thought that was so fucking lazy.
Mm.
We touched on the Brandy cameo. I didn't really like it overall. The line of like, damn, someone's always trying to kill her. That was funny.
Mm.
But then the whole, oh, it's not over. Stevie's still alive and she's coming to get me, and let's go kill this bitch, and like, uh, I don't know. I didn't like that. I really didn't like the very unsubtle. So what are you waiting for, huh? I was like, really? Are we just like throwing in lines just for the sake of nostalgia now?
Yeah.
And they even made fun of that, which pissed me off even more. That, oh, nostalgia sucks. I was like, yeah, no shit. I'm looking at it right now, and I
Mm.
hate every second of it.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, and just overall, it just wasn't very interesting. I was actually hoping that, so the bald cop in the movie, he's actually an Australian actor, and he plays a
Mm.
real nasty fucker in Wentworth. So I
Mm.
was actually hoping it was going to be him. I was like, yeah, let him have his psycho moment because he's such a good actor. But he was just kind of there and
Yeah.
just not really used to his full potential.
Mm.
The red herring of Tyler, was it Tyler? No, Judah, sorry, was like, at no point did I think it's going to be the priest. Like,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
such a poorly executed red herring.
Mm.
I was like,
Mm.
no way. Like, he's too obviously deranged as is. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way at all. And just, yeah, overall, it just kind of seemed really unnecessary. If there was a better payoff, better story, better cast, better dialogue, better everything, it
Yep.
could have been really good.
Yep.
And like I said, like this franchise is kind of whatever to me. I couldn't really care.
Mm.
But I did go in there thinking, oh, maybe they'll do something to sort of freshen this up. And I went and saw it just after watching the first episode of that TV show. And I was like, oh, maybe they'll do something. But nah, I just think it was like really disappointing.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
Yeah.
and it was, as you mentioned, some of like the areas around Sydney and stuff. I was trying to look out for it, but I didn't really
Same.
recognize anything. But
Yeah.
I haven't been to Sydney in a long time, so
Yeah.
I'm not that familiar with it.
Yep.
But I thought the sort of the landscaping and everything, making it look like Southport, I didn't think they did really a bad job of it.
Surprise, Sydney.
I would have been really annoying to go see this movie with, because every 10-15 minutes I'm pointing at the screen being like, oh, that's Breakfast Point Community Hall,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's Walsh Bay, and this is Oatley Hotel, and next to it is the IGA they've turned into the community store. And I could tell that everyone else in the city was probably just like, who the fuck cares? Shut up. But the one thing that I'll ask both of you, and we'll go to BP's least favorite parts afterwards, is the Brandy cameo. When it's implied at the end that there's a photo of Brandy with her face crossed off, I couldn't understand if they were trying to say that that was Stevie coming to kill Brandy as well,
Mm.
or if it was supposed to imply that Ben Willis, the original killer from the first two movies, is somehow back. I was like, which one is it? But
Mm.
yeah, maybe I'm just overthinking too much. But also, I do wonder, would anyone actually be interested to see a sequel about this movie? Like, if it's just focused on Jennifer Love Hewitt and Brandy? Because I'll be honest, I don't think I would care.
Yeah.
Like,
No, not at all.
like, this movie should have raised the stakes and should have been more of an exciting
Mhm.
kickoff or starting point for a new trilogy or a new series of I Know What You Did Last Summer films. I think this killed it.
Yeah.
But anyway, BP, what are your least favorite parts of this?
Yeah, straight off the bat, the new casting, I would say, is pretty horrible. That jock guy. I don't know if he's in your background, Justin. No, it's not. The um one of them, he was just really like irritating just from the start. He just was not likable.
Is it about
Um
the one that was in the middle of the road?
no. The one when he was drinking, and then I think he's the one that got stabbed when they had the mannequin in the little sort of recall, and he went to do the code, and
Oh,
then it was
yeah.
behind it. Yeah, so the new cast was, yeah, and the Gen Z thing I hate. There's a way of doing it, and I think the thing that annoys me with these movies is that, like, oh, everyone has their phone on vibrate all out. I'm like, no one does. Everyone has their phone on silent. It's like unanimous. So it's just like so like put on. There were some really bad uses of like Google. I think Jennifer Love Hewitt was using Google at one point, and then it miraculously went into some like web page that was like not even Google. But it had Google on it, so I'm like, what? So we can use Google, but we can't use anyway. I thought, yeah, so some of the editing was questionable. There was really bad CGI. I don't know if anyone picked it up on the boat. There was one scene in particular of bad CGI, or green screen, I should say, on the boat. The background very quickly, and it went back to a normal shot. So obviously they couldn't do that properly. Justin, you talk about the old Elsa's store. There was like one, oh, it was when the girl, Coop's one in the orange, I think she's standing in the store while the podcaster is upstairs, and then she turns around, and then she turns back around, and then the killer's just there, and I was like, what the hell? Like, how did he come out of nowhere when she was literally in the middle of the store? I'm like, she would have seen that. So that was just like frustrating. I really didn't like that they ended up using Ray as being a killer. I just thought, like sort of Coop said, I feel like, I don't know, obviously Stevie wasn't enough, so they were like in the meeting room, like, fuck, how do we like up the ante on this? And it kind of just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because then I can't really watch the originals again without thinking like, oh, he's now the killer in the future sequel. And like you said, they don't really go into the background, and it's like, you can have a grudge, but like, does it, turn you into a serial killer 27 years later? I don't think so, but for this movie, apparently it does.
Yeah.
And because I was just fresh off the boat watching I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. So I was just like, that is so confusing how that like went from a happy marriage to like a divorce, and she's now a bitch, and whatever you want to say. What else do I have? The opening, I actually think the opening scene with the car and the cliff was even worse than the Amazon series. No, I think it.
Nah, yeah, you're right.
I just think it's so dumb. Like, it's so dark, and it's called what, like Killer's Corner or something, Devil's Corner or something they call that bit. And I was like, one, why would a car be going so fast through there at night? And I just thought the whole thing was so fucking dumb. Coop, I said to Justin, I don't know if you ever watched it, but back in the day, anyone that does know is McLeod's Daughters, and there's a scene where was it not Beth? I can forget. The mum, she's stuck on the cliff of the ute, and then the ute just like falls off. And I said that was a better scene to watch than what actually happened in this. I just thought it was really fucking dumb. I'm like, oh, come on. Like, at least the Amazon series was somewhat more believable.
And just on that as well, like when they saw that it was sort of hanging on the edge like that, I feel like with them being 5 of them, they could have just all jumped in the back and stopped it from going over.
Yeah, that's what I didn't get either.
Not to mention the fact that it's not like, he was in the middle of the road and that like he swerved.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that if you're in the middle of the road and someone swerves and then they die, you're probably not going to spend the rest of your life in prison for that. Like, you could very easily explain like, oh, I was sort of I was in the middle of the road or whatever. But like, they let him sit there on the edge, didn't really try and help apart from grabbing onto the edge like they thought they were the Hulk or something, rather than using their body weight to hold it down. And then they just left, and then, Rich Boy goes and tells his father or what. Like,
I don't know. It's so dumb. Like, you could be crossing the road late at night. Like, it's completely dark there. And I just found the whole story kind of like that whole incident kind of a bit far-fetched. And I think it would just be down to an accident. I don't think it would be murder. I think it would just be like, what do you call it? What is it when it's not murder?
Manslaughter.
Involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah.
At best. And I reckon even that's pushing it. And my partner, there you go, you can put in Limp Bizkit.
Yay!
He actually
Partner, keep on rolling, baby.
She's been watching these movies with me. She's like, I wonder how many people have like needlessly died or like people have covered shit up and
Yeah.
gone around carrying all this guilt
Mm.
because of movies like these being so unrealistic and
Yeah.
thinking like, oh, it could be inferred that I did something to kill someone,
Yeah.
therefore I'm basically going to kill someone. Like, it's just, it kind of defies logic a lot.
So that way, yeah, I just thought that was like the worst. And it was so like it started off good. I was like, sweet, we're going back to the cliff, we're going back to the original, and then it just cut to a scene of a house. I'm like, okay, like that was one of the things I thought of you, Justin, when you said about the editing jobs, like just things. And you're right, like with the gym, it shows him in the car park walking in or about to walk in, and then it's just him in the steam room. To be honest, they probably should have done what the original was, where he's in the locker room, maybe walking into the steam room. That would have just been a bit of more introduction of a scene than just him in there, and then it was just like, oh, it all steams up, and yeah, it was fucking dumb.
Sorry to interrupt. You know what the editing actually reminds me of? Very obscure Simpsons reference. It's the episode of The Simpsons where it's what's his name? Radioactive Man and Fallout Boy. And they hired the editor to stitch together all the remaining scenes.
Yep.
And it's like, watch out. No, hang on, I'll put the clip up here.
Thanks to modern editing techniques, we can use existing footage to complete the film without Milhouse. Watch.
Looks like we're in trouble, Fallout Boy.
Jiminy Jillikers, Radioactive Man.
We'll have to fight our way out. Are you ready?
Yes.
Seamless, huh?
You're fired.
And with good cause.
None of those scenes are connected whatsoever.
Yeah.
And there were so many scenes like that in this movie where I'm like, hold on, what?
Yeah.
Weren't we just on this scene and now we're in a fucking steam room? Or even the killer that you mentioned earlier, BP, with it looked like a mannequin and then suddenly it turned out to be the killer. I'm like, what the fuck? There was no tension build up, no nothing. It was just like
and then the ending, which was sort of the two girls walking out of the hospital, then the beach sort of scene, I found that whole bit just crap. Like it was just not needed. It felt very forced. It just felt like we're adding minutes to the runtime, and then it just ended. I'm like, okay, it should have just ended with the prior scene. We don't care about them. And then that blonde girl, she was really bad in this. And when I found out she survived, but that's I had to ask you guys. I swear she got jabbed in the chest or something here, and then she walked out of hospital and she just had a bandaged arm. I'm like, what the hell? She's walking. I thought she got jabbed in here and like jumped up like that, and then she's on the beach, and then walked out the hospital with bandaged arm. I'm like, is there continuity here?
Wouldn't have been walking out of that. Yeah.
Am I missing something here? Has there been a plot hole that I'm not getting? I'm fairly sure I saw. Yeah.
They probably wanted to keep her alive if there is a sequel, so that at least there's two surviving people from the group to match Brandy and Jennifer Love Hewitt.
True. Yeah.
And that's really it. But I'd say that the biggest negative was the new cast, and I don't know what went wrong. They were just not likable. I couldn't care for them. They were just some rich kids with automatic doors at their house. I don't know where this place was. I don't know what they do for work, who owns what, or what they do. I was so like gobsmacked the whole time that they're in this luxury house of a thing. But yeah, the new casting just was shit. And it doesn't make up. Unfortunately, the cameos don't make up for it enough. So yeah, that's pretty much my negatives.
You know what the ending reminded me of? It felt like a Delaney Rose skit where it's like girl at the end of horror movie who is going to be okay, and then joking about like, no, let's kill her, let's slay her or whatever.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is so forced. Like when I was talking about the characters and the acting, the thing that took me out of this movie, and I'm surprised that I'm actually going to mention Riverdale for this episode because I made a promise not to mention Riverdale ever again. But so Camila Mendes, who plays Veronica on Riverdale, was supposed to play the character of Ava, but then there was scheduling conflict. She's now in Masters of the Universe, which I didn't even know a movie was being made about that. But
I don't know.
Anyway, so she got replaced by the actress Sui Wonders, probably saying that wrong. But the problem is
we
that
don't care about them.
like the thing that going down this rabbit hole is that Sui Wonders, to me in this movie, was just doing an impression of Veronica from Riverdale. Everything from the mannerisms, And I mean, yeah, I guess they kind of look the same as well, but
Mhm.
well, not really.
Yeah.
Similar-ish.
Yep.
But the whole time I'm like, this is just Veronica from Riverdale. Like, did the director just say like, hey, just do what Camila Mendes was gonna do, and that's it. Don't put your own
Yeah.
spin on it.
Yep.
So I felt that was a bit of a disservice for the poor actress.
Mhm.
Um, likewise, the other casting choices, I, I just don't know how I feel about it because again, these are teenagers, so obviously the three of us are far removed from teenage world. My only references are my younger brother and sister, but
Yep.
even they were saying that this is not how teenagers talk. And
Yeah.
like the way that they spoke in this movie is how everyone makes fun of so-called Gen Z speak, where it's just like what the dog doing, skibbity riz, shit like that.
Yeah.
Whereas yeah, I just
Mm.
couldn't get into it. Um, yeah, acting wise, I saw this article where it's Freddie Prinze Jr. talking about how he thinks it's him and Jennifer Love Hewitt's best acting.
Oh
I
my
severely
god.
disagree. I'm like, this is
Mm.
not either of yours best acting.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be honest, Freddie Prinze Jr. best acting was
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
I
I,
love
I thought
Scooby-Doo.
I thought Jennifer Love Hewitt did as good as she could.
I thought
Yeah.
she was good.
I've
Yeah.
definitely seen worse acting in episodes of Ghost Whisperer for sure.
Oh
But
Mm.
yeah.
Freddie Prinze Jr., I feel like he just kind of like phoned it in. That was
Yeah.
not a good performance at all.
Mm.
Yeah.
Especially when he walked into like the community meeting.
Oh my god. No.
Yeah, that's the one other thing with the bad things is I like when they reintroduce a character. I just don't think I think the reintroduction of Jennifer Love Hewitt in that scene was just not really good. Like they should have just started where they were chasing someone down in the school hall or the university hall, and then she turned around because I just thought like it was straight away where there was a scream on the she's at the board and then they turn around and then yeah, I just thought like given that it was hype that she was coming back, I would just feel like a better introductory like scene would have been
Yeah.
preferred for her. Like, especially when she's like, "What did you do last summer?" I'm like, "Oh."
Also, I just thought it was hilarious too that Jennifer Love Hewitt is like, I'm so traumatized from
I
the previous
know.
two murders and everything. She goes, and then it's revealed she only lives an hour away from Southport.
Yeah.
I'm like, that'd be like me saying, I'm so traumatized from what happened in Nambucca, so I
I moved
moved
to
to
Cops.
Tormina.
Exactly.
Moronga.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
Like, I
Actually,
just
yeah. I
couldn't
thought of
take
you
it
guys when
serious.
the trauma. I thought of you guys with the trauma. I'm like, yeah,
Oh
with
yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
Yep.
It just, I just didn't feel that the characters connected at
Mm.
all.
Mm.
Even Stevie, I mean, that whole character was written so out of place and things didn't make
Mm.
sense, like the plot hole I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Um, Even then, I felt like they could have done a better job by maybe focusing another red herring or something on Stevie's co-worker or Stevie's other friend, but
Yeah.
we don't really see that other character again. So I'm like,
Oh,
oh, what was that? Like,
yeah. I'll quickly make mention that podcaster girl as well was a bit annoying. I felt like I was watching Ruby Rose. Like they were trying to push a Ruby Rose type impression here, and I was just like, she's so cool. She's a podcaster and everything.
God, I haven't heard that name in years.
I just didn't like that character, and I just didn't even like the start where I was just like making out in the toilet. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like what am I watching right now? The start was so weird. It did not even feel like I know he did last summer. The vibe was off completely.
You know what I think it is with some of these horror movies is that because I've seen it in a lot of other TV shows
Mm.
too, they'll get some criticism from corners of the internet that say things like, you never had any black characters, you never had
Mm.
any gay characters, trans characters, women characters, etc. So a lot of these movies tend to try and overcorrect it when they
Yeah.
reboot it.
Yeah.
So another example is And Just Like That, the sequel
Mm.
series to Sex and the City.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of commentary about how the original Sex and the City was just for white women, nothing else.
Mhm.
Whereas the first season of And Just Like That, um, you could define it as being you know when people like call everything woke, like this is probably the only time that I would actually agree with that sentiment because the way that they pigeonholed every single type of sexuality, gender identity, disability, everything into these episodes in the first season of that TV show, but it wasn't done in a way that was tasteful or actually served a purpose to the story, or to the characters. It was just like, hey, here's the thing you complained about. All right, now we're never going to see them again. It's like, well, that doesn't address the issue that some people might have had criticism of the original series for. But I mean, even with this one, I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, they took inspiration from the TV series, which, we'll talk about in the franchise episode.
Yeah.
But I was just like, okay, cool, they have a queer character.
Yeah.
Next. Like,
but it just doesn't add anything to it. Like, they're making out at the start, and then, she gets a lift in the car with them.
Yeah.
And she's with her for the podcasting, then she gets killed. But then you sort of think about it and you think, well, what was like the point of that? Because like her sexuality doesn't really come into it later after later in the movie either. So it just was just like, oh, it's been in there, like you said, to essentially tick some boxes. But I guess these newer movies that are coming out now, particularly these reboots, are having to appeal to a younger audience. So they, I guess, presume this is what everyone wants to see. But I think for most like horror fans, particularly that have watched the original, are just kind of like, that's cool, but like also like it's not really relevant and not really like appropriate for this film. It just feels a bit like it's added on.
Yeah.
That's how I sort of see it.
Like, I wouldn't say it's I was about to say it was out of place, and that's not what I mean. It feels kind of like as if they've tried to do it as a bit of shock value, but like, I mean, everyone's moved on.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, lesbians. Who cares? That hasn't been taboo since 1994. Like, maybe if it was a character that had a specific purpose to it, like maybe theoretically, maybe if Tyler was a podcaster who was interested in the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies, for example, but maybe she felt a connection to Helen Shivers or something, and she's like the lesbian fan base president or something. Like, it could have been something to tie it into a bit better. But yeah, I'm only spitballing here.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Did you guess the killers? And, we've spoken about the reveals. So I didn't necessarily guess either of them. Stevie became too obvious towards the end, where it's like, okay, well, it's only Stevie, the two main girls, and Ray. It's obviously Stevie, but Ray, I didn't figure it out. Even though there were clear moments I could have, some people have said that they guessed the killer early on, where, going back to the podcast with Tyler, she recognized the fisherman. So if the podcaster recognized the fisherman, it could only be, what's her name? Ava or Ray or Julie, because she was obsessed with the podcast. The podcaster was obsessed with the original 1997 murders. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, it has to be someone relevant to that. But even then, I didn't even think like, oh, Ray, oh, Julie. I was just like, oh, maybe it's just someone she saw at the airport.
Yeah.
But Coop, I'll ask you first. Did you guess the killers?
No. So with Stevie, it wasn't until they ran onto the boat and then they took off. Even before, that was sort of starting to be revealed. I was like, oh, so Stevie's the killer. Quick, get in the boat. Let's go. Okay, it's her. I didn't guess Ray at all. Even when there was the scene with Julie looking on the computer and then just seeing a picture of Stevie and Ray, which we already knew that they had like a connection because he's her boss.
Yeah.
I was like, really? We're doing that? And also, that's not a reveal either because we already know that they work together.
Yeah.
And I was, but from that point, I was just fucking seething. I was just so annoyed at that.
Yeah.
I was like, really? I was almost hoping it was going to be some kind of like misunderstanding because they had something similar to that in the first movie where it's implied for a moment that maybe it's Ray because of the Billy Blue boat.
Yep.
So I thought maybe it was going to be something like that, but then they actually like follow through with it, and I was like, oh yay, Gale Weathers is the killer. So I didn't really see it coming. Like I said, I really wanted it to be the bald cop. I thought that would have been cool because obviously he's been helping the mayor dude, the rich kid's dad, on sort of sanitizing the image of Southport.
Yeah.
I thought that would have made a lot more sense than Ray, but they didn't do that, so it is what it is.
Yeah. BP, what about yourself?
For a split second, I thought it was the podcaster for some reason. And then I sort of thought about the kills and I was like, she's got to have a lot of strength to be doing that. And I just thought she's tall, but she's not that like muscular or like that has a lot of strength. Not saying that women don't. I'm just saying she just didn't really present. And then I thought, well, maybe she has assistance. So yeah, but then she got killed quick. So I was like, okay, well that rules that out. And then I thought it was the priest. And then the reason I thought it was the priest to start with was when he was in the community meeting. There was one shot where I think the camera sort of panned up to him and he was sort of eyeballing everyone. And it was sort of portraying that they were trying to really force you to be like, it's him. Like, it's him. Like, look at him. He's the killer. And then obviously at the end, he's, at the church and he's got the spear through and whatever. And then, when I got onto the boat and had the reveal, like with Stevie, I was like, oh, like, I think it's probably one of the worst reveals for a killer we've seen in anything. Like, I just didn't have any feelings towards it, like negative or positive. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then when it was Ray, I was a bit like Coop and you, Justin. It was just like, come on, like, really? Like, after 27 years, you're like pissed off. So you just want to like recreate the charm. And because that's what I'm kind of pushing for as well. It's like everyone moves away and the place turned to shit. And I'm like, who cares? So I really was the podcast girl to start with, but I didn't pick it was Stevie and or Ray.
That's the frustrating thing about this movie too, is that they lightly touch on some of the themes. Like we're talking about the trauma for one. They could have done a lot more with it without being all Jamie Lee Curtis about it.
Yeah.
But could have explained why Ray has felt like he's gone through all these years of anger and depression and all this other shit, and why he hates Julie James, etc., etc. But then this whole theme throughout the movie is about the cover-up of the original 1997 murders, and the whole real estate business has transformed Southport into this, I guess, ultra-luxury destination, the holiday town, which it really wasn't in the 1997 movie. But I was like, okay, well, that explains why the family is so rich. But again, it only lightly touches on what they were talking about with like privilege and all that stuff. And it's like, if you're going to talk about it, please go all the way. Don't just do bare basic beginner shit. Because then we would have had a fully fledged, proper, great horror movie. With kills, etc. Also, just to lightly touch on the kills, because I know this is a common complaint with the entire franchise, is that they don't necessarily show some of the kills on screen. So when I was watching this, I was like, okay, we've got the harpoon gun, that's nice, but it would have been nice to have seen more deaths on screen, especially because this is 2025. I would have liked to have seen a lot more on actual screen. Likewise, fun enough coming from me of all people, I thought the whole steam room sequence was going to be a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a reference or a tribute to throwback to I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, where Julie James gets locked into the tanning booth. So I thought maybe they're gonna try and subvert it by having it so that the guy's locked in the steam room. And maybe that would have been his way of dying. I would have, and obviously I hate teddy bear deaths, but it would have been something that's at least interesting to see on screen. But then they don't do anything, and I'm
it's like someone half telling you a story, and they're like, okay, gotta go, and then they never come back to it, and you're just like,
pretty much.
Like there was a man down the street and he pulled out, okay, gotta go. What do you pull out? What happened? But you're right. It does that. It has this issue in this film where it's kind of like half-assed stories or just very minimal story being told, and then it jumps to something else, and it's like, okay, but they don't go back to it. If they do go back to it, it's not really explained either. So I don't know what went wrong there. But just quickly with that, with the steam room scene, I mean, they could have even just done what they did in the first movie at the end and had the killer jump through it when he was looking at it. Like, I know that would have been cheesy because you're just like, oh, but I mean, that would have been a lot better than really nothing that happened then.
Or even subverted, which is the whole point of requels, reboots, of what Scream 2022 was trying to talk about with subverting expectations. Maybe he's looking at the glass and it says, you're next. Maybe the hook comes up through the floor or something. Like, fuck, even Friday the 13th, the 2009 remake, had that thing where it looks like something's going to happen, and then Jason comes up through the floorboards with the machete. And honestly, really good ending, scared the shit out of me. But there's numerous ways they could have done it, but it felt like maybe they were too scared to do it, or maybe they did have something planned and they cut it for time.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
did read online quickly that apparently there was rumors floating that there was a different ending floating, like getting around, but it was something that might be revealed on the Blu-ray or something. So wouldn't be surprised if this movie might have some alternative endings and or scenes. It would be interesting to see what comes out of it.
I mean, what's her name up? I was about to call her Julie James. Jennifer Love Hewitt wasn't confirmed to be returning until quite late into production.
Yeah.
So, I mean, theoretically, all her scenes with Freddie Prinze Jr., Chase, Sui Wonders, they could have been filmed within 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
But that last scene where it's them fighting and then they kill Ray, etc. I mean, that felt like it was tacked on afterwards. That was never part of any original script. So who knows what the ending would have been? It could have just been Stevie was the killer and that was it.
Yep.
But who knows? Maybe if Jennifer Love Hewitt didn't come back for this one, she would have agreed to come back for a sequel, and then that's when Ray would have been the killer at that time, or something like that.
No! No, I'm sorry, that's not right.
Next question is, do you feel that this requel is worthy of status like, say, Scream 5? And if yes, why? If no, why? So I'm going to say no, because I think this falls into the traps of what Scream 5 was criticizing in the first place. Likewise, it just does such a big disservice to it that, I can't. I will recommend this movie for diehard fans of, I Know What You Did Last Summer, etc., to see it, mostly because of that one cameo scene from Sarah Michelle Gellar. But I mean, if you've never seen the original movies, I just don't think this is a good movie for you.
Yeah.
So, Coop, what are your thoughts?
It's nowhere near as good as Scream 5. It's not a good example of a good recall, legacy sequel, whatever you want to call it, whatever category, genre of that is. And I don't know, left a bad taste in my mouth. And like I said, I'm not that big on the franchise. I can't imagine how people that absolutely love the original would feel about this. It's surely got to be a slap in the face. So no.
Fair. And BP, I'm guessing you have the same comments.
Yeah, I think the new casting was so bad in this. Like, even when you think of the Scream 5 casting, I think they're so much more likable. Even the killer, Amber in Scream 5 is so much more likable as a person. I just don't think the cameos and the return of iconic characters like Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr., Michelle, Brandy are enough to carry this movie over. Like, it's great when you see them in scenes. Like, it's really, great to see them back together and, doing their bit for the movie. I just don't think it makes up for such a lackluster new casting, which really adds nothing to it. It's just brain dead dialogue. I love seeing them getting killed. And I think, like I said earlier, we like watching horror movies and we stand alongside, the protagonist. Like, my favorite, like Eden Lake, you're watching that woman right to the end and you're hoping that she can get away. You're not like, I hope this bitch dies,
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to use bitch. That's it. But for them. So I just don't think it does really. I think I wouldn't say it's disappointing. I would just say, like, what is it? I'm not angry. Maybe it is. Yeah, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Maybe that's the way I would say it. Yeah.
And that's always so much worse.
Yeah. I think that would be my sort of takeaway from it. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. And I mean, Coop, you mentioned earlier in this podcast too around some of the there was a term you specifically used for the blonde character around how she's like written to be intentionally dumb.
Yeah.
Or
well-intentioned bimbo.
Yeah.
That's
kind, but not bright. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, it reminds me slightly of the Ashes from Final Destination 3. So, mandatory Final Destination 3 reference. But it's like in line with those type of characters where even the way they were written then in 2006 with the whole like yeah, like
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like that. Maybe that's how people in their 30s and 40s back
Yeah.
in 2006 looked at characters like Ashley, and they're like,
Yeah.
teenagers don't talk like that. And the same way we're criticizing people
Yeah.
today.
I will say, like, if you want to be taken seriously, sometimes maybe I'm just saying this is light criticism, but maybe spend less on your face and more effort into your acting skills, because there was that character had one flaw that just stuck out on the big screen, and I'm just like, I couldn't look past that the whole time. And I'm just like, it just adds that dumb, fluffy, like, oh, airhead persona. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Come at me.
All the comments are going to be like, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Look at his lips. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's the lips.
Oh no, these ants are ruining our picnic.
You mean this picnic is ruining our ants?
Look around your world, pretty baby. Is it everything you hoped it'd be?
I won't go into all the trivia with this movie. There's actually a fuck ton of trivia, so I might just do a separate video. What I'll do is just talk about the previous planned installments of this requel, sequel, etc.
Yep.
So 2014, Mike Flanagan, who of course did Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, the upcoming Carrie TV series, etc. He was supposed to do a sequel, but then things fizzled out. Likewise, back in the early 2000s, there was planned to be a wilderness sequel style of this, kind of like Blair Witch, but it still would have followed Julie James, Ray, not necessarily Brandy. I think it was just the two main characters from the first installment, but script rewrites kept happening, never progressed anywhere. Then there was the supernatural focus version, which did eventually become I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, and like that didn't really take off anywhere with the original characters, so that's why that movie has all new people, etc., etc. And then there were other reboot attempts over the years. Even 2012, there was rumored to be one featuring Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr., but it's not clear what the plot details would have been. And then it kept coming up again and again sporadically, especially after Scream 5 got released. But it was before Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. had signed on. So it's just interesting to see that this has always been gestating, whereas a lot of other sequels, like, I mean, Scream, for instance, kind of just remained dormant between 2000 to 2010. And then again from 2011, 2012 to 2022. Like, it's just crazy how that happens. Because in all honesty, I don't see the original two movies as being like mega successful. The original I Know What You Did Last Summer is certainly a favorite for some horror movie fans, but I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, I felt killed any hype whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to see this. Likewise, this is so superficial, it's not really related to this installment, but there has been numerous talks of an alleged feud between Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt, and apparently this goes all the way back to 1997, where both actresses have stated that they haven't talked to each other since filming the 1997 installment.
Yeah.
And people online, as we all know, very toxic as fuck, so they'll say things like, Jennifer Love Hewitt didn't say hello to Sarah Michelle Gellar. That means she hates her, rah, rah, rah. And it's like, no, you could just mean that they don't have anything in common, so they just don't feel the need to catch up with each other.
True.
But it got reinvigorated where they had the red carpet premiere, and allegedly Jennifer Love Hewitt didn't stay behind to take any photos with any cast members or Sarah Michelle Gellar or Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yep.
It's just like, who cares?
Yeah.
They're working actors and actresses. They're probably just like, oh, fuck's sakes, red carpet, here we go. I feel so bad for Jennifer Love Hewitt in particular, because anytime she does a red carpet now, there's always these horrible comments that get directed her way around. Like, her body shape is different than when she was 18, and she looks different compared to when she was in Pioneer 5. And it's like, yeah, no shit. She was like 17, 18 when she did those movies and TV shows. She's 43 years old now. She's had 3 children. Like, fucking leave her alone. Like, I don't understand this obsession with always trying to beat down women, especially in regards to looks, but then
It's
there's
27 years later. Like,
yeah,
everyone's going to look different 27 years later.
Not to mention the fact that like back then the whole thing was like heroin chic. And then
Yes.
like if you weren't a size 0, you were considered plus size.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's been 28 years, 3 kids, and as far as I'm concerned, she looks like a fucking smoke show.
Mhm.
So like, yeah. Fuck her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like you know, talking
You
about
don't hear anything about Freddie Prinze Jr.
I was just about to say that.
That's right. Exactly.
Like, I shit you not. The same, like, obviously generalizing here, but like, I'll see a lot of things on Twitter, Instagram, etc., where it's like gays thirsting over Freddie Prinze Jr. back in 1997 and today with how he looks now. But then Jennifer Love Hewitt, they're like, oh my God. Like, I saw this one comment, which I won't say word for word, but it was basically saying that, like, oh, she was super skinny back then. Now she looks like a fridge. And I'm like, are you mentally okay?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like, first of all, who writes that shit and publishes it on the internet, first of all?
Yeah.
But also, like, why would you have such an incorrect opinion and feel so confident to share that shit? Like, I just don't understand. Like, no wonder Jennifer Love Hewitt didn't want to come back to the horror genre, or, you know, she herself said that she was facing like a mountain of nerves and everything when coming back to do this series, because even though she said in interviews that she would 100% come back, etc., she loved the character. You know, there's also the other flip side, which is all the constant criticism of her appearance and her body. And, you know, it's easier looking from the outside to be like, oh, who cares? Just ignore it. But when you're getting people like tagging you on Instagram and sending you emails and hate mail through actual letters, like, what the fuck?
I read something quickly today that she was watching that Framing Britney Spears documentary. I never watched it, but she said when she watched it, she started crying because she was like, oh, I feel sorry for that girl. Then she goes, actually, that's what I was going through as well. And she mentions about the first movie when she went on set in one of the scenes and they had a really short singlet. And then she was like, okay, I wouldn't really normally wear that, but okay, we're just going to do this and watch my boobs jiggle. She essentially was something along the lines of that. So she was just like, okay, this is what's going on. And yeah, it's interesting. You talk about it, Justin. She actually did say she didn't want to become like a Jamie Lee Curtis or a Neve Campbell when it comes to horror movie franchises. So she purposely avoided doing any future horror movies or that sort of thing around, which is valid. I can understand that.
And she turned down. I think we read the same interview because she also turned down roles in The Ring. There are a few other horror movie franchises and just standalone horror movies where, you know, the pressure would have been so intense as well back in the early 2000s, like with changing body expectations and things like that. Like Coop said, it was heroin chic back in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's now going that way again, where people are getting like back in the when was it, the 2010s, everyone was getting like a Brazilian butt lift. They were embracing being thick, for lack of a better word. And now it's like, you know, oh, your BMI is more than 1. You're a fat bitch. Like, what the fuck? Like, the whole changing body expectations, and then some of the biggest offenders, like specifically the Kardashians and everything, who try and popularize it, being like, oh, it's okay, we took Ozempic, even though we don't need it. And like, we just want to do it to be ultra, ultra, ultra skinny. And it's like, oh boy, here we go again. Like, meanwhile, people who actually need, you know, Ozempic and everything, like those with type 1, type 2 diabetes, can't actually get it because of the supply shortage caused by all these fucking idiots. Like, anyway, I love how this went from I know what you did last summer to Ozempic.
You look fat.
Last question, which is ratings. So previously I did a short video about this. I gave it 6.5 out of 10. I'm going to downgrade it to 6 out of 10. I'm also tempted to give it 5 out of 10 after talking about this, but I'll stick to my guns, just say 6 out of 10. Look, a lot of promise, but didn't actually act on any of it. A lot could have been changed about this movie. It just feels like Love Island meets Halloween. And it's not a good mesh at all. Coop, what do you give this movie?
I'm giving it way less than that. I'm going to give it 3.5
Oof.
lazy swerves out of 10. And most of the points that I'm giving it just come from the fact that like that Sarah Michelle Gellar cameo was like really well filmed, really well done. And I didn't mind the harpoon gun death, but beyond that, I thought overall it was like pretty bad, needless movie. So yeah.
Fair. And BP, last but not least, what do you give this movie?
I'll go with you. I'll go the same as you, Justin. I think 6. The cameos, a couple of the kills, a couple of sort of, I guess, the direction and sort of styling were good, but I just think the new cast really brought it down a whole lot, as our scores represent right now. Yeah, and I just sort of think, was it worth 27-year wait? I don't think so at this point. Like, it had a lot of promise. It was just super choppy in a lot of bits, and the cameos don't make up, for a really high score. So I think 6 is very generous. Would I wouldn't recommend it for someone just watching a horror movie. I probably would only recommend this for diehard fans, either of the franchise or horror movie fans. But it would be horror movie enthusiasts. But I would be curious to know what other people that really love this franchise actually think about it.
Yeah. I will say I've seen a lot of people give this usually between 6 to 7 out of 10, which surprised even me because I'm notorious for giving high scores. But there's a lot of other diehard fans I've seen who've given it 8 out of 10, or the opposite end, they've given it 2 out of 10 and said that as a diehard fan, they felt insulted by this installment. And then other people have said that they recognize that it's not perfect, but they think that people are being too harsh. I think it's the opposite. I think people are looking at this through rose-colored glasses, that they're not giving it the right score.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine, but...
My brother and I, because I dragged him to see it with me on Wednesday, we thought it would be a really annoying audience, like Final Destination Bloodlines. So we're already hyping ourselves up to go, like, shut your fucking mouth to anyone who would just keep, like, fucking yelling shit out or whatever.
Down in front.
Yeah, it said nothing happened. But
it was good of mine.
The only problem was, throughout this whole movie, my brother and I kept like referencing Scary Movie, or anytime Freddie Prinze Jr. or Sarah Michelle Gellar are on screen, we're like, oh, Scooby-Doo. And everyone else is probably like, why the fuck are they talking about, like, we're trying to imitate Scooby-Doo's voice being like, shit like that. There's probably people in front of us who were like,
shut up. Wrong movie. Turn off the flash, you fucking knob.
I love that one.
Excuse me? I think I paid my money like everybody else up in here.
It's time to announce the winner of our recent giveaway. And if you've seen our posts on Instagram or TikTok, you'll know that we would be giving away a Skinamarink DVD for this episode. We are happy to announce that our winner is Ho Min Wing. I apologize if I've said your name wrong. We will DM you and we will send you your prize straight away. Now, for the next thing that we are giving away, it is this triple pack DVD of the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise, of course in celebration of this episode. So you have 1 week to get your entries in. All you have to do is comment on this video and let us know what is your favorite I Know What You Did Last Summer movie. Also, this is PAL, so this will only work in Australia and other areas that are region 4 coded, whatever that means. Good luck, and now back to the video. Now, viewers, make sure you keep an eye out for our future episodes. We're also covering the first, second, the god-awful third, and the TV version of I Know What You Did Last Summer in our franchise special. That's coming up next week. Like, comment, share, follow us on TikTok, etc., etc. And if you hated this episode...
What are you waiting for?